This video does not endorse, promote, or glorify any form of illegal or harmful activity.
Hey guys, young Psychonaut here, back at it again with another video, and this is going to be a very esoteric one, a very interesting video. First of all, before we dive in, thank you to my members, thank you to all the subscribers, all the people that interact in the comments. Thank you guys so much for creating a lively community around the channel. I really appreciate it, and yeah, let's keep it interesting, let's keep it fun, let's keep it safe. Let's go into the video. So first of all, before I want to get started in this video, I just want to mention to the YouTube gods out there that are going to review this video that this substance 4-HOMET is fully legal in the place where I live. I live in the Netherlands, so 4-HOMET is a fully legal substance that you can buy online in the smart shops, etc. So everything I'm describing in this video is 100% legal in the Netherlands where I live. With that being said, I understand there's a lot of my audience who's not in the Netherlands, so be careful. Maybe this is not legal in your place of residence. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that as a kind of a disclaimer right up front. Okay, so let's get into the video, guys. So today I'm going to describe basically my experience with smoking 4-HOMET. And I was actually really surprised that there was not much to find on the internet. I looked around, and in the end I kind of stumbled upon this idea by reading the Psychonaut wiki of 4-HOMET. By the way, I'm just going to say metocin from now on. That's another name for 4-HOMET. So I just don't want to say the whole thing every time, so I'll just say metocin from now on, but you guys will know what I mean. So basically I looked up the Psychonaut wiki for metocin, and I saw there that you could not only insufflate it or take it orally, but you could also smoke it. So I was really intrigued, because one of the things that I personally find the most annoying about 4-HOMET is that it takes pretty long. It has a time of about 4 to 6 hours. So yeah, that is quite a long time for a pretty intense psychedelic experience. So when I saw that you could smoke it, I was immediately intrigued, because it seemed like the duration would be much shorter. So I went on Arrowhead and I found a trip report of someone actually smoking metocin. And they described it as being fairly interesting. It worked for them, and there were no major negative side effects. So I guess I just thought let's try it. So I actually got some 4-HOMET powder, which is very hard to come by nowadays in the Netherlands. Most research chemical websites sell it as a pill, so that is not really optimal for smoking, because you'll have to inhale a bunch of the filler, which is not good. So I got my hands on some metocin or 4-HOMET fumarate, which is a specifically bound version of 4-HOMET. So I got that. It was quite expensive, I must say. So this was pretty expensive experiment. And I basically loaded the powder inside of the bowl, and I just basically vaporized it with a torch very lightly. And the smoke was very subtle, as in there's not much coming off of it, but it did have this very distinct chemical taste to it. If you would drink 4-HOMET with water, it's kind of that smell, but way more intensified. And it was so interesting, because literally after a second or 2, 3, it already started hitting. It was really interesting, because for example with cannabis it takes a minute or 2, 3 before it kind of starts, even if you smoke it or vape it. But with this, it was basically instantly going up. And I would say about 5 to 10 minutes it had reached its peak. After that it really quickly declined. So I will just put a graph on screen now. Basically it gives you on the x-axis the time in hours, on the y-axis the effect in percent. And this is relative percent, so 100% is just the maximum that the effect will reach. So as you can see, in blue here is the smoked effect curve, and in red here is the oral effect curve. And as you can see, at time 0 the smoked basically is already at like 80%, 90% almost. Then after 15 minutes, it reaches 100%. And as you can see, after about an hour or 1.5 hours, it's basically going down, is already almost gone. But you do see like from the 1:30 to the 3 hour mark, a pretty long tail. That's also what I experienced on this, is that it like the main effects are very short, only like an hour, I would say, maybe shorter. But there's like a pretty long tail of like a few hours where you do kind of feel like a little bit of the residual effects. So yeah, be wary of that. As you can see, the oral curve, I would say it also increases pretty quickly. After about 15 minutes, you're already at 50%, and about 45 minutes, you'll be at 100%. And then it just slowly, gets less, but it is way more substantially like in the main effects, I would say, if you take it orally. So yeah, basically I hit it, and after a few seconds it already started working. It was honestly not very efficient because I did a pretty hefty amount in there, probably along the lines of like 40 to 50 milligrams, which is a lot if you would take it orally. Something I would not advise, honestly. But yeah, I smoked it in like three parts, so I was just testing 10 to 50 milligrams first, and then after I felt like it was not going too crazy, I hit it another time and then another time. And basically over the course of an hour, I hit it a few times. The effects were very, very comparable to 4-HOMET, although it was way more clear-headed in my opinion. It felt like my thought process and mood were almost unchanged, and it was mainly like the visuals and the body feel that was mostly prominent. When it comes to visuals, it was very much as if everything was a little bit distorted. When I take oral 4-HOMET, I feel like it is way more flowing and like all-encompassing geometry. I did see some cool geometry on the smoked, but I also saw a lot of like small minor detailed distortions of like lines moving a little bit, of like looking at my skin and seeing like all kinds of psychedelic patterns in it, but it didn't have that all encompassing kind of flowy vibe that like oral 4-HOMET has, which was very interesting. It also, I smoked a lot of weed with it, which also combined better in my opinion than if I take it orally. So I feel like in general the experience was way more clear-headed. It was way more like I was really like in the moment there. It didn't have that kind of psychedelic headspace that like makes you ponder reality a lot. It was just as if everything was extremely cinematic, I would say. So I was just looking up at the clouds and they were kind of like morphing and breathing and changing color. But it was all very much just very cool to look at, I would say. That was like the main thing about this experience. It was just everything was extremely cool to look at. I could just stare at random things for like 20 minutes and be totally encompassed by that thing. So yeah, and then after about like an hour or two, it really like basically all the effects were already gone, and it just had this kind of lingering feeling of like, I guess, a little bit of stimulation. Like I did have a little bit of trouble sleeping after, but after about 4 hours after I smoked it, I could sleep. So it's still way shorter than if you take it orally, but it did have this kind of like, still like a lot going on in my head after the experience. Although I must say, the next morning, I felt really chill, like really like satisfied somehow. Way more than oral 4-HOMET would give me. Honestly, oral metosing kind of gives me not literally a dip the day after, but it's more of a little bit of exhaustion from the trip. Yeah, I didn't really have that with the smoked 4-HOMET. Now I must say, am I going to do this often? Probably not. It's very expensive because it's not very efficient. So like you do have to load a bunch in there for it to really be like, to really entice a psychedelic experience. It's also extremely short-lived. So you're getting like very little bang for your buck. but it does kind of solve this thing where I don't want to be like having a psychedelic trip for like 4 to 6 hours. Sometimes you just want to have a little psychedelic trip that is just like an hour. Kind of like, I would say, like low level DMT maybe. Obviously, this is not going to give you any kind of breakthrough or whatever, but it kind of has the same vibe of like you hit it, you experience it, and then it's over pretty quickly and you can kind of like go on with your day after that. Honestly, the body feel was very interesting. It was very instant and it was also like very heady, very cerebral. I felt it really strongly in my forehead, I would say, and in my chest. It did have kind of this thing with 4-HMET that's also very present when you take it orally, that it kind of can give you very spontaneous bodily sensations that sometimes are pleasant, sometimes are not pleasant. So for me, what I did is after I hit it the second time, I took some 2F and that really like chilled out my body. I just took like 40 milligrams or something. That really helped with like making the body feel even more satisfying and nice. It really like calmed down my nervous system, I would say, and that really made me enjoy the effects of the 4-HIMET way more. And yeah, so that was kind of my experience. It was kind of esoteric. I don't think a lot of people have tried this. Honestly, I wouldn't advise it to do, but there's some merit to it working, at least, I would say. And my experience with it was positive, I would say. The only thing is it's pretty expensive to do it like this because it just doesn't give you much effect for how much you have to try to use. Okay, guys, so yeah, this was kind of the video. I hope you really liked it. It was something very different from what I normally do, as in, this is really like the young psychonaut journey in full. I do have to say that probably smoking or vaporizing things is probably not that good for your health. So yeah, keep that in mind. Although with this, it's just a few milligrams and it gets fully absorbed by the body. So there's not a lot of like combustion or smoke production. So I would say it's pretty negligible. But yeah, still keep it in mind. Smoking something is not good for your body. But anyways, guys, I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something. Please note that this is all just personal experience and not some kind of guide for you. But I did want to share this for you guys because I thought it was extremely interesting. And you probably thought so too. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you in the next one.